Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fine Arts Friday. I'm Beth Creighton here with my co-host, the Dean of the College of Fine Arts at Millikan University, Laura Ledford. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
We're back for Zoom number 4.
Woohoo!
You know, it's so fun because originally when all this went down, I thought we're just going to have to be put on hiatus for a while. And I'm glad that we have found a way to make this happen.
I am too. You can't keep us artists down.
That's right.
Just the way it goes. Sorry, folks.
And
We're
sometimes you have to see our faces.
That's right. I guess you don't have to. You can always turn off your screen.
That's true. On that note, we do want to thank Eric Lee and Newhoff Media and WSOY and NowDictator.com, every, form and facet of Newhoff for having us and for continuing to publicize the show and share what we do. Laura, we've made it to the end of a pretty crazy semester.
We certainly have. And it didn't really dawn on me until Monday when we had a meeting and realized that none of the faculty had to run off to their classes. Classes were over.
Yeah.
They weren't over in March. They were over officially Friday because everybody else has been teaching their brains out until last week. I
know.
So, yeah.
I just had a graduate from a couple years ago texted me and he said, what has the last half of the semester been for you? And I was like, busy.
Yeah.
I think that there's this weird misconception that we have all this free time on our hands because school is virtual, but I worked every day from about 9 till 6.
And every now and then I'll talk to Sean or text him or something, and he says, this is more work than I ever wanted to do in my whole life. And for a dancer to say that's
right.
Because he's had to video all of his combinations he's teaching and then offer critiques to individual students and record those. And it's been a lot of work for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, and I do want to say too, I've had the opportunity to sort of close out class with a couple of different groups of students, and our students have really risen to the occasion as well.
Yeah,
this isn't ideal for anybody, and you got to think about our kids who have moved home, some who have gone out to get a job and are also finishing school, and I kept telling them, like, you all deserve like the biggest pat on the back, and if I could hug you, I would.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, they've been champions.
They really have. And of course, we always know that, students in the fine arts are the best ever. But so many of them face a whole different set of circumstances than we can even imagine in terms of having to work or, family members or, all kinds of things going on in their homes. And, it's been a real challenge.
Yeah.
We've come through it like the stars that they are.
That's right. Well, before we welcome our first two guests, I do want to circle back on a couple of things that we started talking about during our first Zoom show. Mm-hmm. We talked about artsforillinois.org, which was started by the governor and by Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago to help.
I love her.
I know. She's fun, isn't she?
Yeah.
Whoever is her publicist is a genius.
I know.
But it was started to support individual artists, but also arts organizations through this COVID-19 epidemic. And so I was poking around on their website. We've been trying to share certain things now and then, but I saw that the first round of applications closed this past Monday, the 11th. And that through the Arts for Illinois Relief Fund, they awarded more than $3.3 million to 906 individual artists and 166 arts organizations across the state.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, those numbers are impressive, especially considering how quickly all of that happened.
Yeah, it seems that arts organizations or grant makers, it takes them forever to decide who they're going to give the money to. So
right. Yeah. And what's cool is that even though these applications have closed, there are still some really neat streaming events that are happening that are being promoted through this website, artsforillinois.org. And I wanted to talk about two of them. Quarantine concerts happen nightly from 7 to 11. I mean, every night for 4 hours. The Experimental Sound Studio of Chicago is holding these my impression is that it's just a place for people to come together and try things out.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's cool.
yeah, all of the donations that are accepted go right back to the performers that you're
Uh-huh.
watching during the stream. And so you can find all of that information at their website, which is ess.org, Experimental Sound Studio Chicago. And also this one hit home for me, the Auditorium Theater in Chicago, where I have seen so many shows. I remember I saw Phantom of the Opera there when I was in junior high on New Year's Eve. It was the coolest thing. And they're doing on their Facebook page every Sunday night at 6 o'clock, they are doing a series called At Home with the Auditorium Theater. And they're showcasing someone in the auditorium family. So it could be a singer, it could be a dancer, it could be a musician. And it's this hour-long series that they're doing every Sunday night. So I thought both of those were kind of cool, and things that have sort of come out of, that they weren't doing before.
Right.
And sound like they're going to keep doing.
Oh, and there's so much free theater now streaming on, like the National Theater at Home. What is it? Broadway Live or something like that. Yeah. I'm not sure what it's called, but a lot of different theaters, the Stratford Festival in Canada, everybody's going back through their archives of recorded performances and streaming them for free.
It's so neat.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're looking for a silver lining, this is it.
It is. You get to see things you would never have had the opportunity to see. So.
Yeah. The other thing that I want to touch on is when we had Jarrett Johnson on as a guest, you sort of, you came up with this web of an idea that he has taken and run with. And that was for Chapter 6 to sing the Millikan Alma Mater as part of the virtual commencement celebration that's happening on Sunday at 2 p.m. And he was able to get all 17 former and current members of Chapter 6 to participate in this video. And I remember he had sent me a rough cut of the audio that I think I forwarded to you. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. And then just the other night, we got the final video. So we're going to tease a little bit. I mean, I figure since it happened like on our show, we can tease a little bit.
I think so. I think so. We have a quieter kind of, relationship there.
Yeah. So what I want to show is something that I think when you see this on Sunday, people who don't know Chapter 6 may not catch it. But there's a moment in the video, there's a little voiceover section, but then there's a moment in the video where they group the guys according to the generations of Chapter 6. And for me, I noticed it immediately, but I don't think if you're watching, you would ever know. But I just want to share part of this.
Okay.
See if I can make it happen here. Okay. Can you see their faces?
Nice house you got them on.
Okay, here we go. And there's the current guys. Loyal sons and daughters we always will be. Hail our alma mater. Aww.
You sound amazing, even though they can't hear each other.
I know. I did hear that John Music and Jarrett laid down the bottom and the top tracks first.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the guys just sort of went along with what they had set to go. But it just makes my heart happy, that whole video.
Yeah, and see, all of them. I knew like one iteration of them that had some of the theater students in it because I only knew the theater kids at that time. I didn't know a lot of the school music kids. So yeah, the faces there that have gotten a little bit older and I didn't recognize them at all. So that's really fun.
I did get a message from Flint Hawes, who's in there, who's been on our show before. And he was like, watching my video back, he was like, the gray hair is real.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know. When we move into phase 3, calling my stylist is going to be first on my list.
Yeah. By then, mine will have grown out so much I can just get it cut and it'll all be gray.
There you go.
That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
All right, when we come back, we're going to welcome our first two guests, Rebecca Mendenhall and our favorite, Martin Atkins, to talk about the virtual Midwest Music Expo that happened last weekend and is continuing as we move forward. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We have welcomed two people into our Zoom room for our first section of the show. We're happy to welcome Rebecca Mendenhall and Martin Atkins, both of whom have been on the show before. Rebecca came to talk to us about her work with First Step Records when they were working on their Vespers project. And Martin has been our, I think, most frequent guest. We've talked about buses and all kinds of things. So we're happy to have you here. And today we're going to talk about the virtual Midwest Music Expo, which we talked about in our last show. We sort of teased what was going to happen. And so we're looking for an update. How did it go?
Well, you just brought up the bus.
Yes.
And it's worth just, if we could just go back for a second. Just to place all of this in context, 9 weeks ago, was it? We were fully anticipating a conference in the Commons. I think we were planning some hard hat tours of the new musical theater building, planning for our second go round of putting students on buses and going around the country. And so I think it's just worth remembering that in a short time, the students really pivoted, dealt with their disappointment, and managed to almost triple the attendance of our first conference.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, I like hyperbole. I'm a music business guy, so if I want things to be amazing and never been seen before, and I can do that. But I like the numbers on this. There were 230 attendees in 2019, and we're nibbling at over 1,000 across our MMX events this semester.
That's awesome.
So, and it's easy to say, well, doom and gloom. We all like to connect with people. That's one of the ideas of the event. But we had attendees from 23 countries on Saturday, and not just one random person from this country. Several people from Mexico, South America, Chile, Belgium, France, England, Ireland, Canada, Kenya, 2 people from Kenya. Just in the light of such disappointment and such setbacks and difficulties, it's really encouraging to find a silver lining.
I listened to a meeting with some of our arts tech faculty. And finally, I think everybody's starting to accept the fact that this is happening and we all have to pivot. And as artists and entrepreneurs, we should be the people most capable of doing that. But this was an extraordinary pivot for you guys and for the First Step Record students. You know, you were planning this on-campus event. You were going to get on that bus for the tour this summer, and then nope. So I congratulate you on your ability and your creative thinking to make this happen.
Well, thank you. But that's why I like teaching music business. It's not because of the music or the business. It's because when you arrive in Cleveland and the stage is so high, there isn't room for your centerpiece or whatever crazy things you've made happen. You brainstorm, you come up with a solution, and whatever it is, and it's adaptability, the thinking, turning on a sixpence. That's why I like the music business.
Yeah.
Anybody who's involved in this, I think, and I think Rebecca can speak to this. After this, what's the next setback? We'll be like, well, we dealt with the virus and we pulled off this great conference,
Yeah.
and bring it on,
Mhm. Whatever's next is next. That's
Yeah.
just the way it goes. Well, Becca, how did you and your fellow students, what was your reaction to this pivot point?
I think at first it was a little scary for everybody just because it was such a big move and a big change all suddenly. But that was just common with anyone. But once we got into it and we really started working towards it, it really became easy. It was the same as trying to coordinate an in-person conference. It was just talking to people about coming on Zoom instead of coming to our school, which honestly was a really smooth transition in my opinion.
Well, and it does, these kinds of things, being forced to be on Zoom is not a bad thing for the budget. That's for sure.
Well, and I think, Martin, I heard you in a different interview mention that Zoom actually allowed for some people to participate who wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
Well, I think once we got over, and I had a $250,000 tour cancel. We were all having body blows. We were all being hit with baseball bats. But once you get over that, we had Jeff Becker, an attorney I work with. He represents a rapper. What's that guy's name, Rebecca? I keep forgetting. Curtis
Roach.
Curtis Roach. He
Curtis
has a
Roach.
board in the house, which is just exploded. He also represents the architect who did the Beam in Chicago. I might have been able to have him drive down and sit with the class and probably set him up with the Decatur Conference Center hotel, and but that's almost 2 days for him.
Yeah.
And he was happy to spend an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave us so much information. Eddie Sanders had a session with us. And once you think, well, this could be liberating, we reached out to Lowell Tolhurst. He's the drummer in The Cure, one of the founding members of The Cure. And he had an hour for us. Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, who's a best-selling author as well as the frontman for that band. Wendy Day. It's kind of liberating, And so I think we're planning on, I don't see anything but to carry this on throughout the summer, to continue reaching out to people. Matt Eidson, who's one of our judges on Saturday, we split the conference into 2 parts with the song critique and an Ableton beat workshop on Saturday. Matt Eidson has toured with 50 Cent and all kinds of people. I'm going to have him do a session instead of driving down from Madison. My friend Ruth Daniel is over in Manchester, England. She has something called In Place of War, where they travel around the world and set communities up with musical equipment and recording equipment, and then see how music can pull people out of gangs and difficult situations. And I'm really excited about what the summer holds. Not just for me, but for students. I think Rebecca's going to stick around and help.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, is how many of the students will stick it out through the summer for these?
Well, I think...
great experience.
Yeah, well, Rebecca's coming in to help, but I'm also encountering other entities who aren't using Zoom.
Right.
Well, and here we are doing our second larger conference on Saturday, thinking about audio issues, hard wiring, what do you call it, the cryons, the bottom thirds, like how can we keep doing this? And so now I'm offering our services to other companies to run their webinars or block parties for them.
Great. Well, how can people, if they're hearing about this for the first time, how can they register or get connected to MMX in some way?
That's a good question, Rebecca, to you. have that?
Yeah, so the easiest way to get connected would be to go to our Facebook page, which is just Midwest Music Expo in the search bar. Or if you just want to type in the URL, it's just facebook.com/MMX Illinois.
Okay.
And so that's the easiest way. We have all of our posts on there on our event page. We also have our upcoming events and everything that we have in the future. So that would be the best way to get connected. And our event pages always have the link to register for the Zoom sessions also.
Great. And maybe Beth can figure out a way to get that posted when we get the this up and running.
Yeah, I can totally coordinate that with her. No problem.
Yeah, feel free to email me. And also, Rebecca, I just want to say, I said this before you came on, but our Millikan students have been stars with all of this online learning and everything that comes with it.
Thank you.
I just want to commend you and everyone else who's worked on this project, but also just your regular classes. We all made it to the end. We're all still alive. And to some of your points earlier, I think we're all finding some silver linings to the situation that we've all kind of been dropped in. And the fact that you're going to keep this going through the summer, I think is one of those silver linings.
Yep.
Definitely. I think a lot of it is there's a lot of gratitude you can take out of what we're doing. We're doing things to help people and inspire people and improve people's quality of life in a time that not a lot of people are doing that. And so it's really fulfilling to experience, especially last Saturday, just getting to see people's responses in the chat of how they were being affected, like emotionally and mentally from what we were doing was just absolutely incredible. It's priceless what we're getting to do. So I'm happy to do it.
I mean, just the wealth of information from Wendy Day and from and then Galen, of course, playing and with the signing going on with her. It was great. It was a really fun day, and I look forward to all the rest of them. We'll tune in certainly.
Just to elaborate on that, on the superstar student, another number, and I think I'm going to get this wrong, but the students are required to attend, or were required to attend, 2 classes a week, Tuesday and Thursday, for about an hour and 15 minutes. And what was the number, Rebecca?
Oh, shoot. It was, I think, 22 meetings in 11 days.
Yeah.
Sounds like my life. But that's my whole job that I get paid for. So.
But you just, you know, I like to say to students, look, I'm not interested in the grades. If it's about the grade, you know.
You're in the wrong place.
Right. But when students will meet sometimes 3 times in a day, because we want things to be right for the people who are tuning in to listen, and to the artists who've given their time, that says it all right there. It's been terrific.
Yep. And again, a great example, as always, of performance learning. There's that third-party stakeholder, the people in the industry and the other participants. Amazing.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, and we wish you all the best moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having us. You guys too.
I'll be tuning in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to Fine Arts Friday. I'm Beth Creighton. I'm here with Laura Ledford, the Dean of the College of Fine Arts at Millikan University. And we have been looking forward to this next segment since we started talking about this a few weeks ago. We wanted to highlight some of our seniors, class of 2020. So we have 4 amazing stars of the College of Fine Arts that we are happy to welcome. Hi, guys.
Hi.
And before we get too deep into asking, you know, how the last few weeks have been and what you're going to after this, I'm going to go around real quick and have you introduce yourselves. So, Frankie, you're first on my screen. So you.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Frankie Paredes. I'm a senior commercial music major, and I'm a drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. And where are you from originally?
I'm from Waukegan, Illinois.
Okay. All right, Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean Pruitt. I'm a theater administration major. I'm from Peoria, Illinois.
Okay. Heidi.
Hello, I am Heidi. I'm a senior, obviously, vocal music education major with a special education endorsement, and I'm from O'Fallon, Illinois.
And Aria, last but not least.
Hello, my name is Aria Hawkins. I am a musical theater major, and I'm from Chicago.
Yay. Well, thanks so much. I know that even though we're all online, our schedules, if yours or anything like mine, are still quite busy. And so we appreciate you squeezing us in. So Laura sent you all some prompting questions. So I'm going to let her pick which one she wants to jump into first.
You know, that I don't know that there's a particular question that's going to draw everybody out in the same kind of way, but it was interesting to see some common threads in your responses. Almost all of you, in one way or another, talked about, and this doesn't surprise me at all, talked about self-doubt and maybe not feeling prepared and being something of a perfectionist. And this really resonated with me because I know how artists can be about their work. And so you can feel you can have all the preparation in the world and still feel that you're lacking whatever the secret handshake is. So I guess, and also this whole event has made, I think, everyone really learn a lot about themselves. So let's see, Frankie, since you're the first on the screen.
Oh no.
That's going to happen to you a lot, I think. You mentioned, of course, all the great performances that you've been involved in, and you've done a lot of gigs. That's how I know you, is just seeing you play in various tours and performances. And you talked about that as being a highlight, and of course Brunk and Justison as your teachers, but you also, and a couple of others, talked about your experience either as a first-year experienced mentor or an RA. So it's great to see that, you know, you sort of balance those, you know, there's the art thing and then there's the social thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, talk.
Well, I kind of didn't have that balance in my Millikan life until I became a FIAM. That is what balanced it out. Like up until this year, it had always been just a music grind until, like, I didn't really have much of a social life. I didn't really have, I was a frat member for a little bit, but that's past me now. But becoming a FIAM, you know, kind of gave me everything I didn't really know that I needed all along, so.
Yeah, I used to tell the theater people when I was chair of that department that they needed to get out of the lobby, basically meaning that they had to find a life outside of the theater. You know, we live in this fake world sometimes, but we need to get out of it. How have the rest of you found that kind of balance? Sean, what do you think?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I was trying to mute myself. Yeah, I definitely would agree. I think kind of what Frankie was talking about with becoming a FIAM and how that was such a monumental thing for him. Like being involved, I was involved with Pipe Dream Studio Theater, the student-run theater company, and I was able to serve for the last 2 years as an exec member. And I think that just like definitely. It really just like, you know how important that your art is, but getting to do it with other people and getting to be like one of the people that is the reason that those other people have opportunities. I think it just really gave so much purpose and so much meaning to what it is that I love to do and like why I really love to do it, if that makes any sense. So
it really does. And Heidi, you talked a lot too about relationships, all the relationships with your professors, of course, but also with your friends and how you learned about yourself through those relationships. So it wasn't necessarily all theater centric. You were also an RA, weren't you?
Yes, I was. And I will say that didn't come without its hard moments, you know, kind of like Frankie was talking about, but I learned so much about myself and what I'm capable of, just with so many different situations. I mean, every day is a new day in the residence halls. So that was a big turning point for me. But it also, I think, prepared me a lot to be a better teacher. Not even a better teacher, but a better person too.
Right.
Just interacting with so many different people.
And making bulletin boards.
Something Beth can really identify with.
I love a good hallway decoration.
Well, that's a good segue. Aria, you talked, I think, the most about, I mean, what struck me and what you talked about was the feeling of kind of surrender, just sort of letting it go a little bit and just being willing to live in the moment and be authentic and come what may. And so is that as a result, do you think, of the virus and that whole, and all the circumstances that creates, or was that something you were getting to anyway?
I think that it was something that I was already on the journey of figuring out, because, you know, I think, again, like so many of us, because we care about our work, because we care about, you know, how we present ourselves and all these other kinds of things, like there's kind of just this need to grab control whenever you can. But, you know, now more than ever, no human being on the planet has any control, you know, more or less on what any of this is. So it's kind of helped me to evaluate, like, okay, what kinds of things do I have control over, and what things do I not have control over? Right. And sometimes not having that control is okay, and that's like a difficult thing to learn, but I think I'm on my way.
Okay. Well, I can't think of a better place to be at this point, which is, you know, one of the questions too that I asked, what's next? And one of the things that I loved about your response, Heidi, was that you said just to do the next right thing. And that's really all any of us can do in this moment when so many things are uncertain. But what's on your agenda, Frankie, for the next few, I don't know, months or years or whenever things start to happen? What are you thinking about? You're going to grad school, aren't you?
Yeah, I will be headed to University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign to pursue a master's in jazz performance. Hopefully I, you know, stick around and, you know, go on and do my doctorate, because my end goal is college education. I want to be able to do things like Dr. Brunk and Professor Justison do.
And then come back here and do them?
Maybe, maybe if they need me. But, you know, they don't, I mean, nowadays they don't even look at people who only stop at their masters. So
oh yeah,
I got to go.
You have to have a DMA or a PhD or one of those doctorates. Yeah.
You know what's great about Frankie going to the U of I is that he's close enough that we can be like, hey, thing, you want to come play?
We have a gig for you.
That's right.
Please do that.
Careful what you wish for, my friend.
Right. What about you, John?
You know, I definitely, with the virus, I had some plans set up to go work for a theater in Massachusetts, but they have canceled their season due to the virus. So it's definitely left me feeling like nervous and uncertain, like everybody. But I also have kind of realized, you know, this will be good. I've always wanted to go to Chicago, so I'll just move up there earlier than I expected. And I'll probably just take a little bit of a break to just, you know, I've been go all throughout college, all throughout high school, really. So as much as this is all very, very scary, and I really wanted to hit the ground running with my degree, I'm a little bit grateful for some time to just live and enjoy living. And that's it.
That's an amazing thing. Especially for someone who's involved in theater. I was telling Mary Black the other day, I said, you know, theater people are freaks. It's nothing.
Yeah, we are.
To work from 8 a.m. to midnight and get up and do it all the next day. Yeah. And, you know, it's the same with artists, I think, in general, probably. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that you were talking about when you wrote back was that transition from doing everything and being constantly sort of overscheduled to, whoa, what do I do now? You know, I'm sure that was quite the...
Oh, yeah. I think, you know, like, it's not good to measure happiness by the things that are, like, you know, nothing is permanent in this life, but I definitely... You know, I really loved what I was doing. I was really proud of what I was doing. And I think that I really relied on all of those things to make me happy, to tell me who I was. And I've been busy since I could drive. So now that like I really don't have anything, that was a really, really weird transition. And it was hard to realize what my purpose can still be as a human, as an artist, when no one can see it and no one is making me go anywhere. So, but I've definitely learned to find some peace in that.
Yeah.
Oh, and Heidi has a job.
Yeah, she has gainful employment. Where's your position, Heidi?
I'll be at Collinsville High School and an elementary school also in the Collinsville area, which is down south.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're doing, I think I read K through 4 and high school. That's awesome. There's something about having that wide range of students to teach. not only in age, but in ability. And they're certainly lucky to have you. And I love that you're using your special education endorsement to teach life skills music.
Yes, that's something I'm really, really excited about. Nervous too, because that's a lot of curriculum planning, but it's really cool to be able to put those two passions together into one. So I'm excited.
And being able to do the special ed endorsement is relatively new for music ed majors. I know it wasn't a thing when I was a student many years ago. Were there a lot of music ed majors who took advantage of those endorsement opportunities? Do you know?
Well, so far I know of one person that has graduated with a special education endorsement and music education. And then two of my peers in my class, they aren't getting the endorsement, but they're getting a certificate. So they'll still have similar qualifications, but I believe that more underclassmen are starting to add that onto their degrees and be interested in it. So that's something that I think is really awesome.
It only makes you more marketable. And I think every district is looking for ways to make sure that their special education kiddos get the same opportunities as a general education kid. So I'm proud of you for doing that. I know it's extra work.
Well, thank you.
It seems like a great combination of skills because, you know, that the arts may be the thing, or music may be the thing that gets those kids more engaged and help them bring themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's impressive. Well, what's going to be up for you, Aria? You were supposed to work in Massachusetts, but then.
Oh yeah, so I, you know, and I hope that everything still goes according to plan, but I'm set up to be working with the National Players, which is its own company within the Only Center Theater in Maryland. And there's going to be some teaching artist work. There's going to be, you know, 2 shows in rep, and I'll be playing the same role that my grandma played in A Raisin in the Sun when she was in high school. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to it. And I know that with the lack of predictable anything in the world, I'm just holding on to the fact that right now it's a yes, and if it's something different in a few months, then that's okay, because that's what the universe was giving us.
That's what it had in store for us. We just didn't know it. I mean, I'm just going to speak for myself. There is something really liberating about it to me. First of all, I'm an introvert, so I like staying in my house and not seeing people. But the other thing is, I think it just, you are forced to think, first of all, to kind of surrender and, as a friend of mine would say, let go and let God. But it's also a chance to think about different ways that we can be creative, ways that we haven't necessarily thought of before. Because I don't see us doing like big theater productions with big audiences for a while. I don't know about music ensembles, you know, you might be able to, you know, it's not gonna probably happen for a while, and when it does, nobody's gonna be there. So you know, it's a weird time to be an artist, so we have to think of new ways to make those connections, and hopefully we're all creative enough to do it.
I don't know if Laura asked this question in her list, but a common thread in our show so far today has been about finding silver linings in this situation that we're all in. Have any of you found some things along the way with online learning or just sort of being away from campus that you're going to take with you as positives? You can jump in. I don't have to call on you.
I think that this time has given me time to like explore other ways that I can be creative and be an artist. So lately I've really been getting into painting, and like it's just the simple things like that where, yes, right now I have a lot of time in my hands like everybody does, but that doesn't mean that when I do have less time on my hands, when the world goes back to normal, that I can't still find other outlets. Like I think that those outlets are important to find even when they're not what I'm doing for a living. And this is a new thought. This was new. So
yeah.
I guess one thing that I'm, you know, trying to get better at, and right now more than ever, it's easier to get better at this, but just self-care practices. I mean, in ways it can be difficult because, you know, now that we have so much time on our hands, it's really hard to not feel guilty the moment we aren't productive. But, you know, nobody feels inspired when they're forced to do anything like us being forced to stay inside. So you have to be kind to yourself and go at whatever pace you can right now. I mean, right now it's you're able to decide what pace you go at. So
And that's new.
yeah.
I also think too, I don't know, I've kind of been trying my best to journal and to do some like self-reflection kinds of things, because, you know, there's, as far as we know, there's not going to be another point in our lifetime where we get this whole world pause. So like, you know, I think using this as a time to really sit with yourself and just be quiet for a second and not have a lot of different distractions and places that you need to go and people you need to see. And you know, Laura, kind of like you, I'm also an introvert. So you know, I think that, of course, there are a lot of things about this time that have been tricky to navigate, but just spending time in this solitude and getting to just listen to my own thoughts has been pretty nice. So
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Heidi, any silver linings for you? I mean, I know you were student teaching, so you sort of had the double whammy of losing that experience and also just sort of everything that goes along with being a senior. But are you finding a silver lining somewhere?
I gotta say, it's hard. It's really hard to find the silver lining, especially like not getting to say goodbye to my students. And then U Choir was supposed to go on tour in Italy, and like that's not happening. And I know that's not a unique feeling. All of us are feeling those things because that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So I will say I've had a hard time finding a silver lining, but you would be happy to know I've been practicing piano.
Yay!
There you have it. There you have it.
Are all of you planning to watch the virtual commencement on Sunday? Laura and I really have no idea what's happening with it, so we're just as surprised as you when it happens.
I made a few suggestions, but I have no. Really like, shut up.
We'll see how much they listen to you, Laura.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I just want to thank all of you, and I want to congratulate all of you. I consider it an honor that I know all of you, and I've had the opportunity to interact with you during your time at Millikan. And I am happy to welcome you to the circle of Millikan alumni. I'm proud to call you a fellow alum. And I hope that in the days and weeks to come, you find your own special way to celebrate, because getting a college degree is a big deal.
It is.
Getting a degree from the Millikan University College of Fine Arts is an even bigger deal. So congratulations to all of you.
I want to echo that, but I also want to say thank you for all the work that you have all put into making Millikan a better place. I mean, all of you, from seeing you on stage to knowing that you're behind the scenes supporting the work of your fellow artists, and supporting the Residence Live program and all the other things that are going on. As President White always likes to say, you make us better for your presence. Or that's a bad paraphrase, but you know what I mean.
There's only one quote of his that we all know, but we'll say that for Sunday.
We'll let him have that.
Yes, we will. All right. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for fitting us into your afternoon. We hope
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You can watch it. So
Bye.
bye.
Okay, we're back. That last segment, just my heart grew 3 sizes.
You're like the Grinch, but no.
I am. I'm so proud of them, and I can't even imagine how hard this is for them not to be able to properly celebrate whatever that means. And I'm glad that we're doing a virtual thing on Sunday, and I hope that so many of them can come back in December and have their moment to walk across the stage and have you read their name.
Right. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't have to read anybody's names on this. Kind of sad. That was always my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly want to thank everybody for tuning in. We are so thankful to Newhoff Media for letting us continue to do this. We don't really know what's next. Maybe the next time we're back, we'll just be on the radio waves. I don't know. We'll see. But we do want to say, just to continue to support the arts, we are all depending so much on the arts to support us during this time. So the best that we can do is support it back. And as things start to open and we figure out how to do performances, maybe in different ways, please support. Go to a live stream, go to a Zoom performance. It's going to be different, but I think it's still just as important.
And I think some new forms might emerge from all of this. Already people are putting together interesting video / Zoom / animation and all kinds of things. I mean, new art forms are going to emerge from this. And I'm really excited to see that happen. So I hope our audiences will stick with us and bring their friends to see what might start happening.
Yeah.
In an
All
art.
right. Until the next Fine Arts Friday, I'm Beth Creighton here with Laura Ledford. Stay safe and stay healthy. We will see you soon. Bye.